For as long as she could remember, Emma Carter hated birthdays. Not because of the cake or the candles or the friends who came over singing out of tune, but because of the empty chair at the end of the table, the one that belonged to her father. Every year, she'd sit there, forcing a smile for her mother's sake, pretending not to notice the way her father's name never appeared on any card, the way the phone never rang. When she was 5, she waited by the window. When she was 10, she waited by the door. When she turned 16, she stopped waiting altogether. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe. Because sometimes, what looks like abandonment hides a story we never imagined. As Emma grew older, her resentment hardened into silence. She built her life in Portland, Oregon, far away from the quiet house she once shared with her parents. Her mother passed away when Emma was 20, leaving her a single box filled with photos and letters, none of them from her father. There were no explanations, no clues, only an emptiness that made her believe she'd been forgotten by the one person she needed most. By the time she was 29, Emma was a successful marketing executive. Her life looked perfect from the outside. A downtown apartment, steady job, small circle of friends. But there was always a quiet ache that wouldn't fade. One rainy afternoon, as she packed for a work trip, her phone buzzed with a call from an unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something, a whisper of instinct, made her answer. The voice on the other end was trembling. "Is this Emma Carter?" She hesitated. "Yes. Who's calling?" There was a pause, then a deep exhale. "My name's Nurse Daniels. I'm calling from St. Luke's Hospice Center. It's about your father." Her heart stuttered. She hadn't heard that word, father, in years. The nurse continued softly, "He's in critical condition. He asked us to call you." Emma's knees went weak. She sank onto the edge of her bed, gripping the phone. "He's alive?" she whispered. He's here?" Within hours, she was driving through heavy rain to a small hospice on the outskirts of town. Her mind spun with anger, confusion, and a small, dangerous flicker of hope. She wanted to scream, to demand why he'd stayed away, why he'd never tried. But mostly, she wanted to see him. The man who'd been both her first hero and her deepest wound. When she walked into the dim hospital room, she barely recognized him. The man lying there was thin, frail, and gray-haired, his breathing shallow beneath the hum of the machines. His eyes fluttered open when she stepped closer, and for a moment time stopped. "Emma," he whispered. His voice was cracked, fragile like an old record. She froze at the door, her heart split between love and hate. "You left," she said under her breath. "You missed everything, every single birthday." Tears glistened in his tired eyes. "I know." His words trembled like broken glass. "And I never stopped counting them." That night, Emma stayed in the hospital chair beside him, unable to leave. As he slept, she looked around the room. On the small bedside table sat a worn leather notebook and an old photograph, her first birthday, her father holding her high in the air, both laughing. Something inside her cracked. When the nurse came to check on him, Emma asked quietly, "Has he said anything about me before today?" The nurse hesitated, then nodded. "Every day. He wrote you letters, hundreds of them. He kept them all in that notebook." Emma opened the leather book carefully. Inside, page after page was filled with ink-smudged handwriting, letters addressed to her. One for every year, every birthday he'd missed. "Happy 7th birthday, my little sunshine. I hope your mom baked your favorite cake. I wish I could be there, but I'm watching from the parking lot. You waved at a car today." I waved back. Her. Hands shook. She flipped through more pages. "Happy 13th, Emma. You're probably too grown up for dolls now. I'm sorry I couldn't walk in, but the doctors said it would upset you. I'm still here. I never left. Happy 16th, sweetheart. You look so beautiful in that red dress your mom picked out. I saw you from across the street before I drove away. I'm proud of you." Each word shattered another piece of her anger. She looked at her father sleeping, pale and frail, and realized he hadn't abandoned her. He'd been there all along, watching, protecting, loving her from a distance she couldn't see. The next morning, when he woke up, she sat beside him quietly. "I read your letters," she said softly. His eyes filled with tears. "I didn't want you to see me like this," he murmured. "After the accident, I couldn't walk properly. The fire left scars I didn't want you to remember me by. I thought if I stayed away you'd have a better childhood, not one filled with pity. Emma's breath caught. The accident, she remembered. The night the sirens came, the house next door catching fire, her father disappearing for weeks afterward. She thought he just left, but he hadn't. He'd been fighting for his life, hiding his pain so she wouldn't see it. I tried, he whispered, to come back, but every time I saw you smiling without me, I thought maybe you were better off. His voice broke. I was wrong. Emma took his trembling hand in hers. I needed you, she said, tears spilling down her cheeks. Not your perfection, just you. For the first time in decades, father and daughter held each other, the silence between them finally breaking. He smiled weakly. I never missed a birthday in my heart, he whispered. I just wasn't brave enough to come home. In the days that followed, Emma visited every morning. They talked for hours about her childhood, her mother, the life he'd lived alone. He showed her pictures he'd kept, tiny mementos of her milestones clipped from the local paper. Slowly, forgiveness replaced the years of bitterness. On her 30th birthday, she walked into the hospice carrying 2 slices of chocolate cake. Her father was sitting up, weaker than before, but smiling. She placed the candle on one slice and lit it. This time she said, "You're here." He chuckled softly, his voice barely a whisper. Wouldn't miss it for the world. That night, as the sun dipped below the horizon, he passed away peacefully, holding her hand, the faintest smile still on his face. And though grief washed over her like a storm, Emma felt something she hadn't in years, peace. Because for once, that empty chair wasn't empty anymore. Weeks later, Emma visited his grave with the leather notebook in her arms. She placed it beside the headstone and whispered, "You never really missed a single one, did you?" Then, with a trembling smile, she added, "I'll make sure no one ever forgets your story. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe, because sometimes the people who seem distant are the ones who love us the most." Special request: comment below what you would do if you discovered the truth behind someone's silence. Would you forgive them? And as the camera fades out on the quiet cemetery under a warm Oregon sunset, Emma walks away, stronger, softer, and finally free, carrying not just her father's memory, but the understanding that love, no matter how delayed, still finds its way home.